When you first did this, and I know this probably had a big part of your spiritual path as well, and this became kind of your mission, I guess.
I think this is my Dharma. This is the Dharma that was laying just buried beneath all the bullshit that I was into before. It's exactly what we imagine this place to be. A place for gathering of community and family and music, art. You're so close to death when you're here. There's death everywhere. The one thing that you realize is there is no death.
Also means you're close to life.
Right, there's no death in nature, there's only transformation. Well, the Dunbar Number is the most amount of people you can have in a community or a tribe in which you still feel cohesive before it starts to splinter off into two groups. This is only just the beginning. Little events here we call Within the Garden, where we have acoustic music. People come with picnic blankets and hang out, and then you have kids running around the pond, and it's exactly what we imagine this place to be. A place for gathering of community and family and music, art.
What a shift your life has taken.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and
what a beautiful place. It is really nice with all the water here. That's for sure.
We're very blessed, and this place called us as much as we were calling it in. It found us, and this could have all been bulldozed and could have been tract homes, but we were brought here to steward this land and keep it natural and restore it, bring it back to its not just its natural state, but better than that, you know.
And what is your passion related to this? When you first did this, and I know this probably had a big part of your spiritual path as well, and this became kind of your mission, I guess.
I think this is my Dharma. This is the Dharma that was laying just buried beneath all the bullshit that I was into before. Once I took enough time to let that all go, dredge through all of that darkness, all that dysfunction.
Dark night of the soul.
Deep dark night of the soul. That was revealed, and I realized that this is why I've been called here, to do this work. And by the way, it's so creatively satisfying. It's not just menial labor. I mean, it's that too, but also the creativity that I get to express in building this utopia here and inviting in other people, community, is so fulfilling, deeply fulfilling. And telling the story, as a storyteller, the story of redemption and renewal.
The word I was just thinking of was redemption, for sure. And renewal is a perfect match for that. So redemption and renewal, so it's kind of your own personal redemption and your own personal renewal.
And this is a continued expression, an extension of that redemption, but through the earth, and renewing and redeeming the earth itself. And I'll say, this is only just the beginning, right? Because it's just us here for now. But once we invite other people, other humans to contribute and participate, you know, the workload gets spread across all of the humans that are here, so it's not as challenging and difficult. Like right now, it's really hard because we have to
it's a lot of work
going. Every time you create an element, then there's a maintenance plan that you have to set up, right? And even just to be able to walk here, like to have passage for humans to enjoy it, you know, it takes a certain amount of work and effort. And we don't want to outsource, right? It's too easy to outsource it to someone else to do the work, and then you just enjoy it as a posh, you know, bourgeoisie. But to actually do the work, know what it takes to do it, and keep it functioning, and to know it, right? So to learn the skills to be able to design into nature in collaboration with Mother Nature. To learn her flows, to learn how, like what makes her dance and to dance with it is, you know, it takes a certain amount of devotion, dedication, service, and commitment.
It's got a Garden of Eden vibe.
Yeah.
Which is like, even the Garden of Eden, everyone thinks we left the Garden of Eden. I don't think we really left the Garden of Eden. I think our perception of the world probably shifted. And we can make it, again, a Garden of Eden. It's a function of how much we love it.
Yeah.
But still, Adam had to work by the sweat of his brow, as it says in Genesis.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm guessing that you and Jordan have a lot of sweat that's put into this place.
Every day. Continuing to show up and continuing to hold the vision in our hearts and our minds. And it challenges you. There's so much disappointment and failure and fear that you have to move through. What am I doing? Maybe this is a bad idea.
How many of those moments have you had?
Every day, all day. Yeah. Things, you're so close to death when you're here. There's death everywhere. And the one thing that you realize is there is no death.
Also means you're close to life.
Right. There's no death in nature. There's only transformation.
Yeah.
So to live in that process, that continuous process of changing and transforming and moving through the different states of experience in nature is that delicate tightrope walk, right? Where you get to be in the growth, but then you also have to move through letting go of the expectations. And man, it's a trip.
What are the things you had to let go of since coming here?
So I tried to introduce this tree called the Paulownia tree. Its common name is the Empress Splendor. And it's the fastest growing lumber crop in North America. And I wanted to bring it in and do a couple acres of that so that we could have our own
sustainable wood, right?
We could harvest our wood, and we could also generate some income.
Yeah, and lumber got so expensive during COVID.
Exactly. And it just, you chop it down, you use the lumber, and it grows back in within a year.
Wow.
So it's very fast growing. The only problem is we're just outside the hardiness zone for that particular tree. But I tried it. I was like, you know what? Let me give it a whirl. I did a full summer in the dead of heat, watering these trees by hand, like
trying to make it work.
Hi, I'm Robert Edward Grant. I invite you to explore my transformative books, Philomath and Polymath, each designed to expand your understanding of the world and ourselves. In Philomath, which means lover of learning, discover how mathematics weaves together physics, music, and prime number theory, revealing the universe's interconnected nature. It's more than a book, it's an enlightening voyage. Polymath builds on Philomath's insights, exploring the genius of thinkers like Pythagoras and Da Vinci, who used geometry to revolutionize science, art, and governance. Rediscover the polymathic roots that spark past ages of enlightenment. Join me on this journey as well. Visit robertedwardgrant.com to get your copies today. Let's foster a new era of enlightenment and collaboration for a brighter future.
300 trees by hand. And then
was the soil supposed to be prepared well for this type of Paulownia tree?
We had good soil, we had all the things. Everything was, but it's a risk because I didn't know that there would be a drought that year, right?
Okay.
So I was watering by hand. This is before we had irrigation. So
was this the year you guys had the big snow as well?
It was the year that we first moved here. And I decided to just try it, and I committed every day. I was waking up and going and taking care of these trees. And then they were doing really well. They were doing well for a while. And then one night I went to bed, I woke up the next day and I went outside and they'd been entirely eaten by deer. The deer had come and
oh man.
So then I was like, all right, you know what? That's okay.
How tall were the trees at that point?
They're like this tall.
Oh jeez.
And then I was like, all right, you know what? That's okay. That happens. My fault, my bad, right? Like I should have known. So
but how could you safeguard against that?
Well, so I didn't want to build a high fence because I just didn't think that was aesthetically appropriate for what we're trying to do here. So I I did an electric fence, but I did what they call a hot zone
Yep.
fence line, and it's basically this optical illusion because deer don't have depth of perception. So you do one fence line, and then you just basically 2 strings of electric fence, and then 3 feet out you do a single line, so it kind of looks like a box. And then the deer come up to it, and they can't decide if it's too big for them to jump over, or if they can just hop over the first side or whatever. And then they touch the first line, and that gives them a shock. And so it's supposed to work really well without being aesthetically cumbersome. What I didn't know is that during a drought, electric fences don't work because they need the moisture in the soil for conductivity. So after going through that whole process of building the thing, it worked for a time, but when the drought hit, suddenly it ceased to work and the deer got in anyway.
Oh no.
So that was my biggest failure, but also I'm glad I did it, right? Because now everything we do here,
I guess you couldn't just water that area with your catchment.
at a certain point it became untenable, just because I was already fighting the fact that they weren't native to this place.
Yeah.
And it was an idea, it was a fantasy, but I'd rather go with the flow. Go with what wants to be.
Go with the
living
way
here.
nature's flowing, right?
Exactly.
And let that work to your benefit.
And things are gorgeous. I mean, this whole beautiful landscape here, Jordan has been tending to, is our second summer, and this was 15 feet of ragweed a year and a half ago.
Wow. So you guys weeded this whole thing out.
Yes, with an awesome company called Symbiosis. Brought them in. They helped us define the pathways and the terraces. And then we brought in a group of friends and we had a planting party. And we all planted little tiny root shoots and flowers. And now they're just off to the races. Ben and I built this duck coop. Because the ducks kept getting eaten. So we had to give them.
They're getting eaten by what? What's the predation here?
Muskrat, perhaps. Could be a muskrat, could be a raccoon. We don't know. And now there's snakes eating their eggs, and we're really wanting them to have a couple babies.
Have you lost many?
Ducks?
To the predation, yeah.
We did last year before we built the.
You got vultures that live under the deck too, right?
We do. Again, death is always close at hand.
Well, that's kind of like I told you that story last night about being chased by the elephant herd. I never felt more alive in the moment that I was about to die.
Yes, yes.
I think that's why people like rock climbing.
That's right.
Freestyle like Alex.
Free soul?
Yeah, exactly. Free solo. What an amazing movie that was. That film was incredible.
Indeed. How beautiful was that story with his girlfriend and then
Oh, yeah.
and then his turn in the end?
Jeez. Oh, it is so pretty.
We have an additional home there or two.
Back where you've got the glamping thing?
Yeah, probably in that area, and then a couple over there. So we'll have about 4 or 5 families living here, and then once we expand, we can include more people. And as I mentioned, like I believe wholeheartedly that we need to get to at least the Dunbar number or somewhere thereabouts.
Explain the Dunbar number.
Well, the Dunbar number is the most amount of people you can have in a community or a tribe in which you still feel cohesive before it starts to splinter off into 2 groups. And
for our viewers, what is that?
I think it's like 150,
Threshold.
150.
It's 150.
Yeah, once you get beyond that, it becomes harder to know the people in your community. You can know 150 people quite intimately
Yeah.
and feel accountable to them, feel like you can rely on them. You can actually have enough interactions with them to feel like they're your community. But once it gets too big, they become strangers.
Yeah.
And then strangers can do things to strangers because they don't have a
It
sense.
loses its culture.
Exactly, and you don't have a sense of you're not beholden to them.
Companies deal with this too. You know, a company that grows to about 150 employees, depending on their industry, but you can be managed with one manager. I know it becomes very difficult, but over 150 people, you can't manage it anymore. So you need to have hierarchy, structure. That's kind of like the way we think about it. And the type of leader in that type of company has to be entirely different. But with a community culture, I can imagine that would be even exponentially much more challenging, because who's to say who the leader is? And maybe there isn't one, right? And hopefully we can get to models where there doesn't need to be one.
Well, I think leadership.
Everyone can be a leader, but
Yeah,
does it always have to have the leader, I guess?
the leader. Yeah. Well, that's something we're trying to solve for here. You know, because of my tendencies growing up, thinking that I was in charge and I was uniquely qualified to be the most altruistic, selfless leader, so I should be the one in charge. When my delusions about my own righteousness were misguided, I realized in order to create a community, you have to take out that tendency for leaders to become cult leaders,
Yeah.
right? And so how do we solve for that? And so for us, the way I'm looking at it is, our leader is the earth.
Yeah.
We raise the natural system, the interconnectedness of the system of nature to that status. So we all serve our master, which is the earth. And that way we don't have to fight each other to do what earth is asking us to do. If we listen to nature, we realize that we are actually benefited from getting into resonance and harmony with. So earth speed is a lifestyle in the cadence of nature. It's where we learn to recognize that we are emergent beings from the earth, and that when earth is, you know, in its when we are in right relationship with nature, we are thriving. We are doing the best we can do.
What does earth speed mean to you?
Earth speed is listening to what the needs of the earth are, and going at that pace. And some people hear earth speed and they think, oh, it's like slowing down and being. And then some people, they think of speed, the connotation of speed, and they're like, oh, it's fast. Earth is always as fast or as slow as it needs to be.
Right.
So what is that appropriate speed? What's the tempo? Is it, you know, some things require immediate attention. Some things you have to wait it out. You know, the sweet potato has a certain timeline versus insertion.
It's like crops and everything, knowing how long the ground has to rest and be able to rejuvenate itself before you could plant the next, and what type of crops you can do in cycle and in season.
Yeah, and that requires a tremendous amount of awareness and intimacy. Like, you create this connection, this intimacy, this, you know,
Historically, this
familiarity.
is what birthed calendars. It was off of understanding this concept of earth speed that we have all the calendars that we have today. Because we were trying to figure out when's the right time to plant crops, when's the right time to, you know, as we transition from hunter-gatherer or whatever to, you know, more city-states. And the situation we're in now, it's like not many people know how to do anything with land.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I think that's something that it does a disservice to nature, but has been robbed from us.
Yeah.
Our sense of place,
Mhm.
our sense of home. Where do we belong? Like this whole idea, like being a nomad. It's like the digital nomad is so romantic because you're not committed.
Yeah.
But the earth needs your commitment. Our families need your presence. And the more we disengage and disconnect and fragment, I think I'm a product of that fragmentation. I didn't think it served me emotionally, psychologically.
Mhm.
I started to justify it and normalize it. I survived it. I survived the hyper individualism and the ego of New York City.
Yeah, you're from New York City.
I'm a city boy.
You're a city
I'm
boy.
a street rat. And that's like city living is so disconnected from nature. New York City is an ocean city.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I didn't see the sky.
Oh.
You just see tall buildings. You don't touch the earth.
No.
So I had to relearn my relationship.
Thank God they have Central Park. It's like, without that, it would really be bleak.
It would be something else for sure.
So what are your thoughts on this whole concept right now going around that human beings are just, Earth would be better off without humans?
What do they call that? Anarcho-environmentalism.
Yes.
Misguided. I think it's nihilistic and self-destructive,
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't recognize that we are nature.
We're the fruit of Earth.
Exactly. We were designed by nature, brought forth to use our gifts in conjunction with nature to actually maximize its potential.
Mm-hmm.
Right, babe? Case in point.